All right, you can only roster one. Nico Collins or Missouri's Luther Burden? I'm going to get the answers from these guys right after the stinger. It's Felix Sharpe, Nicholas Ian Allen, and Chris Moxley for CampusToCanton.com. We appreciate the support. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 4,000 by the NFL draft. We're sitting here pushing the Campus to Canton fantasy football format, which incorporates college and NFL players. So we've got a doozy today. I'm going to ask you guys, Luther Burden, Missouri's Luther Burden, who for most of us is a consensus top 5 receiver, or at least should be, or the Houston Texans' Nico Collins, if you only could roster one. Before we get to that, if you have a question, go ahead and leave a 5-star rate and review on the Campus to Canton podcast feed. Go ahead and on Apple Podcasts, preferably there. But if you find it anywhere, we'll find it wherever you put it. You can drop your question there, and I will ask our brain trust, Nick and Chris. All right, gentlemen, let me stop avoiding this one here. Nick, I'll throw this to you first. You can only roster one in your Campus to Canton League. Are you going with Luther Burden or Nico Collins?
I am probably going to shock everyone who's ever heard me discuss college football because anybody who knows me for the most part, even though I now do play in a few Campus to Canton leagues, most college football players are dead to me as soon as their name is called in the NFL draft. I forget all about them. The name Nico Collins rung a bell a little bit, but then I went back, I actually looked, pulled up the stats. And hey, guys, did you know Nico Collins is really good? He had 80 catches for 1,297 yards, 8 touchdowns last year, and he's 24 years old. He is catching passes from C.J. Stroud, who, rumor has it, was a very good rookie quarterback this year in the NFL also. So I think that despite the fact that I had to relearn who Nico Collins was. And I do know that Luther Burden is absolutely one of the best and most talented wide receivers in college football. I'm very excited about what he is going to be able to do as a true junior this year. I think that Missouri offensively, I have a lot of faith they are going to find creative ways to get him the football, get the most out of Luther Burden in his last season in Columbia. But right now, Nico Collins is a sure thing. I mean, what we are kind of hoping for Luther Burden is to have a season where he has 80 catches, 1,297 yards, and 8 touchdowns, right? I mean, that's pretty much on the that would be great if Luther Burden can get to that in 3 years, the 3 years that it took Nico Collins to do it. So he's already proven it at the NFL level. I do like the situation that he is in. There are so many fewer unknowns surrounding Nico Collins. You can lock up a young, highly productive player at a difficult position, at the wide receiver position. It's difficult for me to imagine that everything lines up this well for Luther Burden to get to the point where Nico Collins is, that quickly. I'm just going to go ahead and take the sure thing in Nico Collins.
And Chris, before you answer, I should probably provide the context for those who are new watching this video. In a Campus to Canton League, you roster a full college team and a full NFL team. And when your college players declare for the NFL draft, they are added to your NFL roster. So it's a fantasy format that rewards evaluation, scouting, paying attention to what's going on in both recruiting, the G5 level, G5 football, Power 5 football. It's a really immersive form of fantasy football, and we love it. So you could trade, for example, Nico Collins for someone like Luther Burden. All right, Chris Moxley, Nico Collins or Luther Burden, who are you taking?
I'm actually going to take Luther Burden for 2 reasons. One is Collins had an exceptional season. I don't know what that looks like when Tank Dell comes back from injury. I have a couple questions there. Tank Dell was excellent as a rookie alongside C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud can probably support 2 wide receivers, to be honest, but do they both have wide receiver 1 upside? Probably not. I think when Luther Burden enters the NFL, he's going to be a top 10, top 15 pick. And from an immediate value perspective, Burden's probably going to slot above Nico Collins. So even if you don't believe that is true now, I think you can then flip him in your leagues for something better. And I think that value perspective is kind of important as well. You're also getting in Campus Canton leagues a year of Luther Burden, who I think will be a top 10 wide receiver alongside Brady Cook in the Missouri offense that we seem to really like. I think it makes sense to value Burden, although there is concern that he played 80% of his snaps in the slot this year, and Eli Drinkwitz wide receivers, generally speaking, have done really well going back to his time as offensive coordinator at Boise State. I just trust the evaluation of Burden and how he was valued as a recruit, and I think he's proved that he's that dude so far.
He is that dude, but I would say that Luther Burden exists on this spectrum. It includes players like Deebo Samuel, Percy Harvin on the high end, but it also includes players like Laviska Shenault and Rondale Moore. These players who don't have traditional, NFL route running skill sets, I would say. They're more versatile players. And that's kind of my concern about Luther Burden. Is this going to be the next Rondale Moore? Is this going to be the next Laviska Shenault? Now, he's shown more downfield ability, especially in 2023, than Laviska Shenault ever did at Colorado. At Colorado, Laviska Shenault didn't return punts. And when they threw the ball to him deep, it seemed like he just lost the ball tracking. Luther Burden doesn't have, that issue. However, this isn't as good as Luther Burden is. He's not a flanker running go routes. He's not an X, getting contested catches. He is a little bit of a tweener. You got to use him in the backfield on jet sweeps, et cetera, et cetera. And we don't know for certain that his offensive coordinator is going to use him that way. Or even if they do, if it's going to produce the points and the production that we want. Look at Rondale Moore with the Arizona Cardinals. For that reason, I think I'm going to go with Nico Collins also because he is tied to CJ Stroud. And I think I want a wide receiver tied to CJ Stroud for the long term. All right. You can let us know what you think in the comments. We could be crazy. You should be playing in Campus Canton Fantasy Leagues. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel. Appreciate it.
When I was looking up Nico Collins' stats this year, I was shocked how.
Me too.
I was like, "Oh my god, that dude from Michigan those numbers."
Yeah, he's playing with CJ Stroud. I know.
He's got
Chris.
Tank out too. Oh, sorry, I don't want to spoil my opinion.
Tank was injured the second half of the season. So.
I know.
Oh, no.
Listen,
are we gonna agree again?
Yeah.
We both learned about this professional football player who's pretty good at football, and now we're like, wow, that guy's good at football.
All right, you guys ready? All right, here we go.